I vividly remember the first time I had an up-close encounter with David Feherty. It was in December 1993 in Ponte Vedra, Florida. I was researching A Good Walk Spoiled and had convinced John Morris, who was the head of communications for the PGA Tour, to let me sit in on 2 days of orientation sessions for those who would be rookies on tour in 1994. I had spent some time in Palm Springs earlier that month at the finals of PGA Tour qualifying school, the 6-day grind that players had to go through in those days to earn full-fledged status on tour for the next year. One of those playing in the tournament was Feherty, who really didn't belong in the field of 190 wannabes and hopefuls. He was 35 and had won 5 times on the European Tour. He had also been a part of Europe's Ryder Cup team in 1991, the year of the infamous War by the Shore on Kiowa Island in South Carolina. How good a player was Feherty? Good enough to beat 3-time major champion Payne Stewart 2-1 in the singles on Sunday, in spite of the fact that an officious marshal tried to keep him from reaching the 17th tee. By the time we finished 16, they had pretty much lost control of the crowd, he told me years later. The security people cleared a path for Payne, which wasn't easy, but did nothing for me. Apparently, it didn't occur to them that he, Payne, might have an opponent. I had to fight my way through to get to the tee. When I started to walk onto the tee, a very large woman pushed me back and said, "You can't come up here, fella." I had just lost the last 2 holes and had gone from 4 up to 2 up, and I was on the verge of panicking. I was not in a mood to be messed with. Before I could say anything, Payne put an arm around me and said to the woman, "Ma'am, I understand just how you feel about this asshole, but I really need him up here on the tee with me." Rescued by his opponent, Feherty then hit the 1-iron of his life to a water-guarded green. The hole was playing 243 yards in a howling wind, and then closed out the match by making par. The United States ended up winning 14.5 to 13.5 when Bernhard Langer famously missed a 6-foot putt on the 18th green. 2 years later, Feherty returned home from playing in the European Tour's German Open and found his house empty and a note on the kitchen table from his wife, Caroline. It said, "Move to Dallas." Caroline Feherty had taken the couple's 2 sons, Shay, then 5, and Rory, who was not quite 2, with her. "I had no choice," Feherty says. "I wanted to be with my boys. So even though I was pretty sure there was another man involved, I followed her." Moving to Dallas meant trying to play on the PGA Tour. His 5 victories in Europe and his status as a Ryder Cupper were worth exactly nothing when it came to gaining status in the United States. The PGA Tour qualifying school, it was called a school because early on there had been classes the players had to take to prepare to be club pros, comprised 3 stages to winnow down the field: 4 rounds at the first stage, 4 at the second stage, and 6 at the final stage. Like most players, Feherty had to play all 3 stages. At that point in his life, he was a very good player, and he cruised through the school. The top 40 players and ties, 45 players in all, made it to the tour. Feherty finished tied for 11th among the 190 players who started the final stage and easily qualified for his card.